In 2006, the world woke up to a chilling lie. For 76 years, we believed in 9 planets, but a cold-blooded assassin was waiting in the dark. This was not a simple textbook error. It was a calculated astronomical assassination. The culprit had been lurking in the shadows for billions of years, waiting to strike. Her name is Eris. She is the goddess of discord, and her discovery didn't just move a planet. It shattered our entire understanding of the celestial hierarchy. We all loved Pluto. It was the underdog, the small frozen world with a heart of ice sitting peacefully at the very edge of our known reality. But deep within the Kuiper Belt, something heavier and more sinister emerged. Eris stepped out of the gloom to tear our cosmic definitions into bloody shreds. This was a galactic coup d'etat, a silent revolution that stripped a beloved world of its crown and forced humanity to face a much harsher universe. Imagine standing at the edge of the world, realizing that everything you were taught was a fragile illusion maintained by our own narrow and limited perspective. We are small, and the universe is indifferent. Eris is the cold reminder that the stars do not care for our names or our sentimental childhood memories. In 2005, Mike Brown, the man who would become known as the killer of Pluto, spotted a tiny bright spark moving through the deepest cosmic graveyard. It was 3 times further away than Pluto, a ghost in the machine that shouldn't have been there, glowing with a predatory and ancient silver light. Named after the Greek goddess of strife, Eris lived up to her reputation instantly. She was the poison pill that the solar system could not swallow. Like the myth, this celestial Eris threw a golden apple into the banquet of science, sparking a war that would leave one planet dead and forgotten. The chaos was immediate. If Eris was larger or heavier than Pluto, then the old rules were broken. We were living in a house of cards. She didn't just exist, she demanded to be recognized. Eris was the monster under the bed that astronomers had been trying to ignore for many decades. The air there is death itself, a frozen tomb of nitrogen that collapses onto the surface every time the world moves away from its distant sun. To stand there is to stand in a cathedral of ice, where your heartbeat is the only sound in a world that has never known heat. Eris is the ultimate mirror. It is the most reflective object in our solar system. It is a silver ball of death floating in a sea of ink. Its surface is covered in a layer of nitrogen ice so fresh and pure that it reflects almost 96% of the light that hits it. Imagine walking on a planet where the ground is a mirror. You would see your own terror reflected back at you from the frozen crystalline earth. It is a blinding beauty born from absolute zero, a silver shield protecting a heart of rock, shining like a beacon at the edge of nothingness. In the total darkness of the Kuiper Belt, Eris is a ghost light. It haunts the periphery, a silent sentinel made of frozen gas and stardust. This mirror isn't made for vanity, it is a shroud. It is a fresh coat of paint on a cosmic coffin that has been drifting forever. If you stood there, the sun would be just a bright star. Yet Eris would still shine, a cold, silver eye watching the inner world. The final blow to Pluto wasn't size, it was weight. In the brutal physics of the cosmos, mass is the only currency that truly matters. Pluto is a puff of snow, a giant ball of water ice that is light and airy. It was a king built on a foundation of slush. Eris is a lead bullet. She is smaller in diameter but 25% heavier, packed with dense rock and heavy metals that anchor her soul. When the measurements came in, the scale tipped with a violence that shook the scientific world. Pluto was outclassed by a superior, heavier celestial predator. Eris is the heavyweight champion of the Kuiper Belt. She doesn't need to be big to be dangerous. She just needs to be solid and real. Her density forced a question that no one wanted to answer. If this heavy monster isn't a planet, then what right does Pluto have to stay? The debate was no longer about feelings or history. It was about the cold, hard math of gravity. And Eris had gravity on her side. Eris is a long-distance runner in a race that never ends. Her orbit is a distorted, lonely ellipse that takes her far beyond the light. It takes 557 years for Eris to complete a single trip around the sun. She lives in a time frame humans cannot comprehend. The last time Eris was in her current position, the Industrial Revolution hadn't even begun. Humans were still fighting wars with muskets and wooden ships. Empires have risen and turned to dust. Entire civilizations have been born and died, all while Eris took a single slow breath in the dark. At her furthest point, the sun is nothing more than a particularly bright star. She is a prisoner of the cold, drifting in eternal midnight. Time on Eris is a frozen river. Nothing changes, nothing moves, and the sun is just a memory of a warmth that she will never feel. She is the ancient traveler, a witness to the passage of centuries who remains unchanged by the frantic, buzzing lives of the creatures on Earth. But Eris is not alone. She has a companion, a shadow named Haumea, the moon of lawlessness, born from the same chaos as her mother. Haumea is as dark as Eris is bright. She is a charcoal smudge against the silver, a silent partner in the crime of Pluto's demotion. It was Haumea who betrayed her mother's secrets. By watching her orbit, scientists were able to calculate the crushing mass that doomed the 9th planet. Together, they are the rulers of the borderlands, a mother of discord and a daughter of lawlessness patrolling the dark frontier where logic fails. They dance in a void where the laws of the inner solar system don't apply. They are outlaws existing beyond the reach of our warmth. If Eris is the mirror, Haumea is the black hole that consumes the light. She is the witness to the silence of the outer rim. They are the guardians of the edge, a reminder that even in the most desolate places there is order found in the heart of chaos. Eris was only the beginning. Behind her, a graveyard of lost planets began to emerge from the darkness, each one a threat to our order. Haumea, Makemake, Sedna, these were the new names of the revolution. The outer rim was not empty. It was crowded with the ghosts of planets. If we kept Pluto as a planet, we would have to accept hundreds more. Our simple, 9-room house was actually a sprawling, chaotic cosmic city. The neatness of our childhood was a lie. The solar system is a messy, crowded, and terrifying place where nothing is as simple as it seems. Eris was the key that unlocked the gate. Once she was found, we could no longer pretend that Pluto was special or unique in its cold. We are surrounded by a graveyard of failed worlds. Thousands of frozen hearts beating in the dark, watching our sun from a distance we can't bridge. In the end, Pluto was just one of many. A king who realized his kingdom was actually a prison filled with countless other forgotten souls. The assassination of Pluto was a necessity. Scientists had been waiting for an excuse to clean the cosmic house, and Eris was the perfect weapon. Science has no room for sentiment. In the brutal logic of the universe, you either dominate your orbit or you become a footnote in history. We mourned for a rock because we gave it a name and a story. But the universe doesn't read our books or share our tears. Eris didn't kill Pluto by accident. She killed him by being better, heavier, and more honest about what it means to be a world in the dark. The era of the 9 planets is over. We have entered the age of the infinite, where the boundaries of our home are written in ice. When New Horizons flew past Pluto, we saw a world that seemed to be crying. But Eris remains silent, a cold queen who needs no cameras. Eris doesn't need our validation. She doesn't care if we call her a planet or a dwarf. She simply exists, proud and frozen in her own empire. We live in a house with rooms we haven't even discovered yet. Eris is the reminder that the further we look, even the smaller we truly become. Are you a traditionalist or a realist? Do you miss the 9 planets or do you embrace the cold, crowded truth? Tell us in the comments.